A very good morning to all my dear friends. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are in good. Today is 10th June 2020. I would like to start today's discussion with this quote by Lao Tzu. Mastering others is strength. When you master someone else, it may be your strength. But when you master yourself, that's the true power. That's what Lao Tzu is saying. And he's right as well. When we control our own mind, like when I'm saying controlling your mind, I'm not telling you to have no thoughts and that's all imagination. No thoughts at present, right? As far as I know, if we say no thoughts, it's like no pulses. If your heart is not beating, then your heart is not good. In the same way, if your mind is not thinking, then your mind is not good. So don't try to control your mind and don't try to control your, what do we say, your life in that particular box, right? As far as I know, take it easy. That's the mantra, right? That's what Lao Tzu used to do. Step by step. Don't worry about the final result. Take the right first step, right? Then take the second one, then third one. Who cares about the 10th one or 11th step, right? When you are in first, second, and third step. So just enjoy and make sure that rather than controlling someone else, it is better that you master yourself. You learn to live with yourself. That's the key here. Enough from my side now. Let's talk about the civil services examination. Dear friends, today is the last date for this EMI option that we are providing on our Smart Course. Smart Course are designed by some of the best faculties of our country. They know the things that are required for cracking civil services examination, both pre and mains. And for you guys, if you want to know more about it, all you have to do is download our mobile application. To download the PDF of today's lecture, check out my Telegram channel. You can follow me on Facebook. Dear friends, there are thousands of students out there. They are not aware about English version of Hindu newspaper analysis. Please make sure that you share this lecture with those students as well. If you have learned something from today's discussion, don't forget to hit the like button. Your sharing, your like button, right? These are our energy sources. These are our motivators. So it motivates all of us, right? Every educator when they find that their videos are shared by students, when they find that their videos are liked by students, right? This is a way of saying thank you as well. So if you want to express your gratitude, hit the like button, and to support our overall efforts, hit the subscribe button. On our table, we have 5 important articles. Quickly, let me give you a brief wrong priorities. The first one is about coronavirus and social distancing. The second one is about crossing the line. It's about Delhi government's decision to on this coronavirus hospitalization, right? The third one is about climate change, very important one. The fourth one is about India and China. We were talking about India and China yesterday as well. Today I have a very important, most important point in this article. Just one point, but that point is going to add value to your understanding. And the last one is about racism. So the first one is wrong priorities. Now this one is about social distancing. This one is about being very careful about our unlocking priorities. A survey was conducted in USA. 200 epidemiologists took part in this survey, and 43% of those epidemiologists they said that when this question was asked to them, that when they would think of attending religious service, 43% of about 200 respondents said they would consider that in 3 months to a year. So for the next 3 months, epidemiologists are not going to visit, or they are not going to be part of religious service. And some of them have said that they will think about it from next 3 months to a year. Roughly 43% said that they will not take part for at least 1 year. So what is the message here? This epidemiologists, they are the expert in epidemics. The reason why they are saying that we should not take part, or they are not going to take part in this sort of religious mass gatherings, is because the chances of you getting infected of coronavirus are quite high, right? It's simple. If you are alone, then chances of infection is 0. But when you step out of your room, and if you are living in, let's say, an apartment, then as you step out of your apartment, the risk will start going up. And when you are in a big crowd, part of big crowd, right, the chances will be at its max. Even if you are wearing a mask, even if you have washed your hands, even if you are carrying a sanitizer bottle with you, right? If you're doing everything, mask etiquettes and then what do we say, this sneezing and coughing etiquettes, if you are maintaining all these things, right, then as well the risk will go up. And the reason is that because you never know who is going to sneeze, you never know who is carrying this asymptomatic coronavirus in them. So what I'm saying, I'm not saying that you will get it 100% even if you are wearing a mask. What I'm saying is the chances, the risk is quite high. So this is a message for our country that we need to drop our unlock priorities very carefully. The government of India is thinking to give permission to all religious gatherings, right? And it's quite heartening to find that some temple boards, churches, Islamic religious bodies, they have wisely decided to remain closed. That's a very interesting, that's a very logical, sensible move taken by various different temple boards, churches, as well as Islamic religious bodies. And I'm sure other religious bodies, there are so many of them, right, have taken the same stand. So that's a good thing. As citizens, we have to understand that unlocking is, unlocking our country, or this removing lockdown is because the nation or the government removed this lockdown because we were in such a zone that if you don't unlock the country, if you don't restart your economy, it's like, battery of your car. If you don't use it for a long time, then it will keep on going down, and then it will hit a point where you will need external source to turn on your ignition. So in the same way, if you cross a limit, if your economy is closed for, let's say, a few more weeks or few more months, right, then no stimulus package might have helped us to restart. So it was more about economy. But we have to understand that with the removal of lockdown, coronavirus has not left the country. It is still here. Every single day we are finding so many new cases. So, we should refrain from visiting this sort of places. Now, of course, it's your personal choice whether to go or not. If you ask me personally, then I would not visit this sort of gathering places, right? Even if it is a marriage or a funeral, or if it is something like, a religious mass religious gathering, we should refrain. If we will stay away, then it will become much easier for government as well to maintain this whole coronavirus episode. And we should learn something from this various different boards and religious bodies and churches. That what they have done is they have decided to remain closed. I think government should take a tough stand on this thing, and government should make sure that this sort of places are not open, right? Keep them locked for a few more months, and let's see how it goes. We have to be very careful, and we should worry about those people who are already suffering from some sort of diseases in our country. Unfortunately, in last few decades, and particularly in last few years, we have seen a big spike in numbers of people getting this non-communicable NCDs. NCDs are about diabetes and blood pressure and so many other diseases. So they are highly vulnerable. So we need to think about them as well. Moving on to next item, crossing the line. Now this one is about a decision taken by Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. His decision, the government of Delhi's decision, was that only those residents, only those people with proof of residence, if they are, let's say, citizens of a national capital region, or if they are citizens of Delhi, and if they carry a proof with them, proof of residence with them, then only they will be given treatment for coronavirus in the private as well as government hospitals in NCT, that is National Capital Territory. Of course, when we go through this, when we read this line, it looks quite illogical and it was ill thought out, of course. So finally, Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal, he has overruled, or you can say he has rejected this decision by Chief Minister, and Lieutenant Governor has said that under Article 21 of Indian Constitution, we have this right to life, and this right to life itself covers right to health as well. So it is an integral part of right to life, right to health. Access to health facilities is part of right to life. Unfortunately, Of course, this stand that is taken by Lieutenant Governor is, we really appreciate this stand. Of course, it is as per our constitution and in line with our constitution. But the dark reality of our country is that unfortunately not all of us have equal access to best healthcare facilities, and we need to think about it. We need to work on this thing. This is a very important point that we need to work on, right? This may look very subtle, or it may look not that important, but when you have access to good quality care, when you are sure about this thing, that even if you are earning that much, or even if you are earning nothing at all, if something goes wrong with your body, with your health, then you will get the best possible facility that anyone in this country will get. If we have that sort of setup, this will create a sense of satisfaction. It will create a sense of confidence in people, right? Of course, health figures will go up as well, but for that we have to change our attitude, and there are so many things that we need to do. And of course, we have talked about these things early on as well, so I'm not repeating those things here. But anyway, the government of Delhi said that they don't have that much resources. Now, this 10-week lockdown was not just to break the chain of coronavirus, it was also about ramping up our infrastructure, health infrastructure to be precise. So what was Delhi government doing when this lockdown was under implementation? The NCT is functionally contiguous with Gurugram in Haryana and Noida in Uttar Pradesh. There are thousands of people, right? They cross this border every single day. That's what we call up-down, isn't it? They do up-down. They are living in, let's say, Gurugram, and they visit Delhi or Delhi region or NCT region. They are living in Noida, and then they visit NCT region on regular basis, as we all know. So directly, indirectly, they are also contributing to the economy, and they are also part of this. It's officially, if they are living in Gurugram, but they are also contributing in the wealth generation of Delhi. This whole episode reminds us of this Karnataka's decision to block or to prevent residents of Kerala who are who were trying to access hospitals of Mangaluru earlier on. We have talked about this thing I think a month ago we were going through this one. But anyway, Delhi government has also done not so interesting, or I would say one thing that is it looks very risky here. The risk is that the number of people getting tested has gone down. On 2nd June, Delhi used to, the average was somewhere around 6,000 per day. Then on 2nd June, it was 6,000 around. On 7th June, it dropped to 5,000. And on 8th June, it has dropped to 3,700. On 18th May 2020, ICMR has clearly said that you need to test those people who are affected, who are feeling that something is wrong with them. You need to test all those people as well, all those individuals who might have come into contact with this particular person. Even if they are asymptomatic, you need to test them. The government of Delhi said that we don't need to test asymptomatic individuals, and this was again revised, or you can say it was again overruled by Lieutenant Governor. It was not that big issue, so this was not covered by news items or news channels. But now this is the second thing, or this hospital related thing is a big thing as per the media as well, and it is like talk of the town at present. So we find discussion on this thing. So the government revised this by removing asymptomatic from the clause, which was also overturned by LG, that is Lieutenant Governor, who ordered that guidelines of ICMR must be adhered to in their entirety. Delhi is testing more than the national average for per million population, but that does not say much given that it has a population density 30 times the national figure. Moving on to next item, flattening the climate curve. Very interesting, very important article, right, dear friends? This particular article has so many interesting points. Now, there are two curves. They are, they are in sync with each other. As heat goes up, or you can say as carbon dioxide emission goes up, greenhouse gases goes up, right? The global average temperature is also going up. If we go back some 18,000 years ago, then CO2 curve started going upward, right? It all started somewhere around 18,000 years ago. it was this ppm, that is parts per million carbon dioxide, or this greenhouse gas particularly, was 200 parts per million 18,000 years ago. Right? Earth was much colder, predominantly covered with ice. Right? Then, some 11,500 years ago, there was a big change. This ppm, CO2, right? It was on an average 270 11,500 years ago, 11,500 years ago, and see the difference that it created. Snow started melting, and the earth became a bit. It was a white earth, right? From white, it became green. We saw this emergence of agriculture and so many trees and everything because of this rise in temperature. Now, the problem is that average of this ppm, CO2 ppm has touched 407. Can you believe 407 in 2018? 400 ppm in 2018. So, can you imagine? Just a rise of 70 ppm. Here it was 200. Here, after somewhere around 6 or 5,500 years after that, we find that there was a rise of 70 ppm. And look at the change, the drastic change that we can find on our planet. So, past million, if we go back, like if we take out an average of 10 or 10 lakh years or 1 million years, then we find that CO2 level never crossed 280 to 300 ppm. Right? It was, the range was fixed. Right? There were some ups and downs, right? But it was always under this bar of 300 ppm. There was like a cyclical fashion going up and sometimes going down, but the average was 280 to 300. I hope you are with me, right? Now, they remained steady at close to 280 ppm for 10,000 years until 19th century, when we started this industrial revolution. So, first thing is industrial revolution. Second thing is agriculture. For more crop production, what we started doing, we started chopping down or burning down forests. Forests or trees play a very important role in sucking this carbon from the atmosphere. So this was the second thing, agriculture. And the third thing is our settlements and other things, right? Our grids and so many other things, like clearing huge amount of forest and building city area or towns and villages. So all these things started from 19th century, when we started, this whole ruining of earth was at altogether new level. From a mere 0.2 billion tons of CO2 emission in 1850, annual emissions increased to 36 billion tons by 2018. 36 billion tons. Nature has been rather kind to us so far. We have this forest. They, as I told you, they take away, or they are the ones who will absorb all this CO2 emission. And then we have oceans, right? They also absorb. But once you cross this 2 degrees Celsius mark, then whatever carbon dioxide they have stored, right, they will release it in the atmosphere. So the temperature will go even higher. Crossing 2 degrees Celsius is like crossing or hitting at a tipping point. Once the global average temperature will hit 2 degrees Celsius, then there is no return ticket. Keep this thing in mind. And as I told you that CO2 in atmosphere has reached 470 ppm in 2018, a level last experienced by the earth some 3 million years ago. We don't know the changes that we have triggered. We don't know the things that are just around the corner. From 1850 onwards, for over a century, the global temperature showed a slight warming trend. But from 1975 onwards, the temperature graph has shown a distinct upward trend. Early on, the temperature was going a little bit up. There was a very tiny incremental rise. But after 75, what we find is that it has got its own pace and, it's skyrocketing. By 2015, the globe had heated by a full degree Celsius relative to 100 years previously. So if you compare our Earth's average temperature with 1750s or maybe 1800s, then you will find that at present our global global average temperature is 1 degree Celsius higher. It may look like, okay, it's just 1 degree Celsius, right? But if you go a little bit deep in this topic, then you will find that when the temperature is 43 degrees Celsius outside, right, when there is a rise of just 1 degree Celsius, the severity and the damage that heat will cause will be manifold, right? It will be maybe 10 times, maybe 20 times, maybe 50 times more severe. Just 1 degree Celsius rise. Scientists are also saying that average temperature will go up by 4 degrees Celsius. Now, again, remember that I am using the word here average. That means in some places the temperature may go up by maybe 10 degrees Celsius. Some places, tropical countries, may see a rise of 10 degrees Celsius. Your air conditioning, nothing will work. Even if your refrigerators, right, they will start melting ice in it if we find this high temperature. So, and it's not just about temperature, right? This thing affects our rainfall system, humidity, wind speed, everything. We know that snow is melting, ice is melting, and glaciers are melting, and they are adding more water, and this is a big threat for those island nations. Do you know that at present we have just discussed, isn't it, that 1 degree Celsius, already we are 1 degree Celsius higher than what we used to be pre-industrial era. Now, just addition of 0.5 degrees Celsius more, just 0.5 degrees Celsius more is going to be catastrophic for island nations. While no single event can be directly attributed to climate change, we have seen so many other things, right? Collective trends are quite visible. In Europe, back in 2003, 70,000 people died because of heat wave. 2015 to 2019, this 4 years are considered as warmest years on record. Amazon fire, Australia on fire. Remember, COVID-19. I'm not sure whether COVID-19 is one of the reason for this, like zoonotic diseases, and so many biodiversity layers are fading away, and this is it is basically unlocking those doors that are closed, that wall that was there between human beings and that biodiversity. Now chances of them entering into our world has gone up. University of Chicago has warned that if temperature goes up a little bit more, right, then India may face 4 degrees Celsius higher. Some states of our country will witness 4 degrees Celsius rise in summer temperatures. Can you believe this thing? Like, just imagine Churu, right? It's already at 50 degrees Celsius. It was 50 degrees Celsius. Now 4 degree more, right? People will die. No one will survive if temperature touches 54 degrees Celsius somewhere. Extremely hot days. The number of extremely hot days will go up, and the question is how to control it, or what we are doing so far. We got this Paris Agreement, and under this Paris Agreement, we have, as human beings or various different countries, they have decided that we are going to do everything that is possible to keep this average global temperature below 2 degrees Celsius by the end of this century. And the biggest excuse is money, right? Developed countries, they are the ones who have destroyed, they are the ones who have been under industrialization from nearly 150 years now. They are the ones who have emitted huge amount of carbon dioxide. They have made money out of it, but they are not ready to share this money with poor countries. They are not ready to share this technology with poor countries. Back in 2009, UN Climate Conference, they said that this richest nations, they pledged that they will provide $100 billion every year so that poor countries can mitigate and they can adapt to new changes regarding this climate change. We are already in 2020 so far. We have seen just, back in 2017, they gave $71 billion. And this was not a grant. This was more like a loan that you have to one day pay them back. So rich nations, they are not taking it very seriously. And we have to understand, all of us has to understand, that there is no substitute to reducing GHG. Technologists, economists, and social scientists, they should together create this triangle in which here you can put technologists, here you can put economists, here you can put social scientists, and in between we have to keep people as well as government, right? And we have to design everything based on the reality as well as the requirement, right? Top priority should be climate change, right? To stop this climate change and to mitigate and adapt to it. Pincer provocations. Yesterday, we have gone through this item. Now, dear friends, if this is your first day, then I want you guys to open 9th June 2020's video. If you don't go through the full video, it's okay. But I want to understand this topic. I want you guys to go through that portion of that video, yesterday's video, in which we have discussed about India and China, LSE and all these things, right? So it's very important if it's your first day. If you don't go through it, then you will understand nothing from this pincer provocations. Now, this is map of Jammu and Kashmir. This is map of Ladakh. We have gone through this one yesterday, remember? Now, the most important point we have to understand is that from last few weeks or maybe a few months, this intensity of attack as well as issues, right? When I say attacks, I'm talking about infiltrators who are trying to enter India from Pakistan and from parts of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. And then we know on the other side, we have this issue going on with China. The reason China is behaving this way, why China is not happy with this new map of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, is because of this China-Pakistan economic corridor. You know how it works, right? Yesterday we were talking about it, so I'm not going into too much detail. The most important point that I find in this article, and it's going to be a new feather in your cap. You have to understand this thing, that whatever China is doing for Belt and Road Initiative. So China is worried about its strategic vision. All right, China is acting more out of strategic interest, long-term interest. When it comes to Pakistan, the things that Pakistan is doing in Jammu and Kashmir and parts of Ladakh, right? This part is, this portion here, part of it is Ladakh now. And part of it is, this portion here is Jammu and Kashmir. So the things that Pakistan is doing in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh is based on, the more core of that thing is ideology. I hope things are clear to you. This side we have ideology. Pakistan is playing ideological things, and China is here because of strategic interest, right? So this is the difference. When this is basically going to the DNA of this whole problem here. Right, so keep this thing in mind. Moving on to next item. This one is about racism. Now, I'm going to be a bit quick here because in foreign nations, in Western world, we have this issue of racism. In our country, we have issue of casteism, isn't it? We have issue of casteism, and we are a bit, I won't say racist, but I would say some people in our country, they are too much, means they are very possessive about skin color. Now, it's very natural if you see someone, if someone is dark or someone is fair, right, then it's very obvious. This is how our brain works, right? There is nothing you can do about it. It's very automatic that this color, how tall that person is, his or her build, etc. These are very automatic things that our mind scans and tells us in microsecond, and this is important for our survival as well, right? Because it's not about human beings, but it is about animals. Like if you see a big animal, then you know what to do, fight or flight, etc. This whole things in this, again, I'm not going too much into detail. Okay, so in a nutshell, I can say that if you observe someone's skin color, right, in a microsecond, then that's okay. That's nothing wrong with you, right? It's very innocent thing. But the problem is when you associate other things with that. Like say, for example, if someone is light, if someone's skin is fair or white, if someone's skin is black, then if you say that all those people who are black with dark skin, they are bad people, they are this people, that people, this thing is quite weird for a country like India, because we are a tropical country, first of all. So it's quite natural that your skin, or most of us, right, we are going to be brown in our skin. This is not because of our food, this is not because of our religion, this is not because of any other, it's simple geography. If you are living if you head towards northern hemisphere, right, you will find people with fair skin or white skin. It's very natural. They have done nothing. You cannot do anything about it, right? And as you head towards 0 degree line, that is equator, right, then your skin is going to be more and more darker because exposure to sun. Right? Now, in our country, 80% population is Hindu, so I can say that most of the people in our country, they believe in Sri Krishna. Now, if you go through Sri Krishna's life and all those stories associated with Sri Krishna, we find that he was dark, right? That's why he's known as Shyam, that he was dark. So being dark was not wrong in our country, but I think after British people, they came here, and I'm talking about this East India Company, not the current British people, but their forefathers who were here. Racism and apartheid and all these things were in fashion at that point of time. They were like trending things at that point of time. So they have injected this thing in our mind that we have to be fair in our skin rather than being dark. The darker you are, the bad it is. And this is the reason why we find this sort of creams, right? Not head and shoulder, that's a shampoo, isn't it? What do we say? Fair and handsome, fair and lovely. This sort of products we find advertisement going on. This is promoting this sort of advertisement, this sort of products are creating this inferiority complex in those people who are having dark skin without having any understanding about geography of our country. Now, the thing is, this particular topic we are discussing is because, this incident took place in USA where one person was killed while he was under custody or under control of a police personnel. Police personnel kept his knee on the neck of that person, that black guy. He was on the ground, and after a few minutes he passed away. So this triggered big protest around USA. Now, if we go through science, right, pure science tells us this thing, that we all are just one race. We have created these divisions, like someone is Chinese and someone is African American and someone is African and someone is Indian and things, right? Aryan, etc. All these things in science, in scientifically speaking, right? Race is a fiction. Race is a fiction. The people who say that Aryans are the best, and this Nazi thing that killed this Holocaust took place because of this. It was basically a racism. So race is very much a cultural and social reality. It is our society, it is our culture that creates this sort of divisions. We know it very well, right? In our country, we have this caste divisions. That people, we are just one race. If we say that if we are so-called Indian race, then we have castes, right? Based on the work and based on their forefathers, and then you have this caste system which is still going on. It's a part of a sort of it's inequality. It's basically, if you go very core, then you find that it's all about inequality. If you live out of India in some other country, let's say in Western world, and when you come back here, then you find it so funny, really, you find it so funny that once you step out of a zone, once you are out of India, then people will not ask you your caste. People will not ask you where are you, means North India, South India, East, West, Northeast, etc., right? They will see you as Indian. Your identity will be Indian. And then you will realize that, oh, this caste and all these games that are going on back home, they are not universal. They are limited to a particular region only. So, of course, education plays a very important role. Experience plays a very important role. But I think that it is the sensibility of people, right? If all of us behave sensibly, that we, generalization is not always right. I was going through a book by Agatha Christie, a very famous novelist. She has written so many novels about on this investigation and other things. She's one of the best. And I was going through it, and I found this line very interesting, that generalization, in the world of investigation, generalization is mostly wrong. Most of the time, when you generalize, when you say that certain crimes are conducted by a certain community, then if you investigate it scientifically, then you will find that you are wrong. Like percentage can go up and down, but there are so many factors that are in play at once. So I hope, right, things are clear to you, and I'm sure there will be. If you observe your surrounding, then as well you will find that this is not just in our country. We find this inequality. And every different culture, in every different society, the severity is high and low, and depends, right? But we find this thing, and this is based on our stereotype and lack of understanding about human beings. So that's basically human beings, geography, culture, and so many other things. So that's everything from my side. Thank you very much for watching this video, dear friends. I will see you with daily financial news analysis. Till then, enjoy your studies. God bless you all. Jai Hind.